Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Orlando. Today we're talking about why debt is better than cash, at least when it comes to real estate. A lot of times I get viewers who come on and say, Orlando, you should have bought that in cash. It's much safer. And sometimes I even hear people say, I'm going to buy this multifamily property and I'm going to use all of my cash to purchase it. And when I hear people say that, I'm like, no, you can take that capital so much further. Rather than dropping that $300,000 into a property that you're purchasing for $300,000, it's just like, you can go so much further. And I really wish, and this is what I want to talk about, why debt is so big. I know we got a lot of people that love Dave Ramsey and, they're going to say, Orlando, that's not the way to do it. Dave Ramsey said, do it this way. But let me just tell you what, Dave Ramsey, I mean, hey, if he's for you, he's for you. He's not for me. I don't believe in buying everything in cash, especially when it comes to real estate. And I'm going to show you why. One of the biggest things when it comes to purchasing real estate is using leverage, guys. Using leverage, you're able to buy bigger properties than you would have if you would have had to pay for it in cash. I love to use the example of if you have $200,000, if you just buy a property in cash for $200,000, you just have that one property. But if you use that $200,000, you could buy $1 million asset using the $200,000 because you would just use the $200,000 as a down payment. So we're obviously using a down payment of about 20%. So that amount allows you to get bigger and bigger returns because you're buying a bigger asset. When you buy things in cash and you don't use leverage on real estate, you get a smaller return. Now, I know what a lot of people are saying, but Orlando, you don't have that big debt over your head and all of a sudden you feel safer. You can go to sleep at night. And I can tell you what, I've got a couple $1 million in debt and I sleep very good. And especially with this pandemic happening, a lot of times people were saying, hey, oh man, it's going to suck to own real estate, to own rental properties. And let me tell you what, not one tenant that I have had through this entire pandemic has missed a payment. And that's because when I look for my tenant, I make sure that I pick the best tenant I can to put into that property. Now, I'm not saying that the best tenant can't have hardships. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that I'm putting my best foot forward so that if things like this do happen, that I can still be covered. But it even gets better, guys. It even gets better. I'm going to just do a numbers game right here, right now. Okay, I'm going to pull out my calculator here. Let's just say you bought a property at about $100,000. You're going to put down 25% down. Okay, you're going to put down a 1% closing cost, and then you're also going to have a 30-year loan at 4%. Okay, rent, we're going to keep that at about $1,000. Okay, so we're going to do maintenance at 12%. We're going to do management at 8%. And then we're going to do insurance at $500 and taxes at $1,000. Okay, so when you put that all together, right, and you run the numbers on this, right, it comes to about you bringing down $25,000 and some change to the closing, right? $25,000 on a $100,000 purchase. Your net operating income on this would be $7,620. Your debt service would be $4,296.74. Now, here is the big thing. Your cash on cash return will be almost 13%. Now, your cap rate will be 7.6%. Now, the cap rate is basically what your return would be if you bought the property all in cash. So you see the difference here. With all of this happening, with you putting down 25%, you are getting a 13% return versus if you bought all in cash, meaning you put down $100,000, you would get a return of 7.62%. See the difference in that, guys? See the huge difference in that. Now, here's the kicker. You only put down 25%, which is $25,000. That means you can do this 3 more times for a total of 4 times. So what does that mean? That means that the return would go up those 4 times. So instead of the cash flow being on this property, it would be $3,323. It would be 4 times that. 4 times that. Like what? It's like $12,000 and some change, right? Maybe 13. But the point is, you see how the leverage allows you to buy multiple properties, get more cash flow, have more assets. It just adds on and on and on. You can't beat a scenario like that. Now, I know what a lot of people are going to say, well, what if everybody stops paying rent? What if everybody, just disappears on you? Let me tell you how difficult that is to make happen, because you have control over the rents. If you're charging someone $1,000 for rent and they decide they can't pay you, you could drop down the rents to whatever you want to go ahead and collect something to, in a sense, break even, to just pay the mortgage. You got to remember that what the number I just gave you is what you're going to make over principal pay down. So what does that mean? That means you can drop the rent down lower if you have to. But let me tell you how difficult it is to have everybody not pay you at once. It is extremely unlikely for that to happen. Is it possible? Of course it is. But, it's possible to get struck by lightning 8 times in a row. But that doesn't prove the fact that it will happen to you. And so just really remember that you control the rent. You can knock down the rent if you have to, if something like a pandemic happened. But it also starts with you picking the right tenants from the very beginning. But let's talk about something else, guys, that a lot of times people don't really talk about. It's if you have reserves. If you go ahead and make reserves, 6, 7, 8 months reserves from the cash flow that you're receiving, situations like these are almost, they're not going to happen, because you're going to have the reserves for someone not making payments for that 6 to 7 month period. But let's not even go if you tack on that 6 months or 7 to 8 month reserve and you're doing that every year. You can just make sure that if something happens like that, you can be covered for 2 to almost 3 years of no payments, of no one making payments. Now, what am I missing here when people say, I don't want to take debt? And then we're not going to even go into the tax benefits that you're going to get when you can write off the property management, you can write off the interest. So it is all beneficial towards you to go ahead and do that. You can scale your real estate so much faster by using leverage, guys. And then we're not even talking about principal pay down. Someone's paying the mortgage for you and paying down the mortgage, so that equity is going to you also. That money is going to you also. So please, guys, I know a lot of people out there fear debt. They fear it. But in real estate, it is really so good to have the debt. It is so worth it. And if you do it the right way, you pick your deals the right way, you find the right tenants the right way, and you also do the right financing for your property and for yourself, you can't go wrong, guys. You can't go wrong. So once again, guys, I hope you enjoyed this content, and I need you to watch this next video to get you into your first rental property, also your next rental property, your third and fourth rental property. So I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks.